So there's not a lot of news this week. I'm still working with my editor, Fiona Sky, on Forever West, and I'm currently working on editing my next round of two stories to go up on Amazon. Last of a Kind, which is about the Church of Theatrical Explosions, and Perfect Pie, which is about the Nine Prime Worlds, one of the alternate timeline settings I work with, who are certainly some interesting villains. I'll probably talk a little bit more about that next week when I think they'll be up on Amazon. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get started. Precyber by T.C. Ricks and Ken Leitner, Chapter 36. While Emily had enjoyed chatting online with Clark, she had felt confused about her feelings toward him. On the one hand, she still felt genuine loss and remorse when she read about Clark's alleged death. Their lives had intertwined in a special way, and his death had meant losing a part of herself. Emily supposed that meant she loved Clark, but what confused her still was whether she felt romantic love or just close friendship. On the other hand, today, she found herself running yet another errand for Clark. True, he was a fugitive and was likely to get shot if he showed up here at his apartment, but he always had good excuses. Emily had participated in the underground for the last 2 years, and she had never had to ask Clark to run errands for her. Frankly, he was more of a liability as a close friend. Now, if Emily had admitted to herself what a crappy friend Clark made, then she would have to admit her strong romantic feelings. Unfortunately for Clark, she decided to rationalize his weaknesses instead. It's a rough spot, she told herself mentally. She thought, he'll pull his share once he gets past this. Emily sighed and used her key to open Clark's depressing apartment. She hated this place and had always managed to make sure any late-night activities between them happened at her place instead. For all she knew, Clark might have another live-in girlfriend here, though she could not imagine anyone of the female persuasion living like this. She remembered the first time she had seen the mass of computers stacked up inside Clark's bedroom. Clark had asked her home on one of their early dates. She had thought him shy when he kept steering her away from his bedroom, but it made her curious. She waited till he went to the bathroom and then snuck in a peek at his room. She'd expected to see it piled knee-deep in porn. She was relieved to see computers everywhere, though disappointed at the size of the bed. Clark, of course, caught her in the act. She smiled, glanced at his bed, and suggested to him that they go to her place. Clark beamed and forgot about the intrusion. Men were so easy. Emily crossed the living area and entered the bedroom. She was more surprised this time than she had been the first time. Someone had stripped Clark's bedroom of any computer-looking like devices whatsoever. There was nothing but tables, stray wiring, and dust remaining. Well, Clark's tiny little cot still sat in the closet, but they had trashed everything else. They had even taken the little storage boxes out from under the tables and dumped them into the middle of the room. It made one large heap in the middle of the room of comic books, wiring, novels, collector's toys, hint books, clothing, circuit boards, and other manner of garbage. Great, Emily whispered to herself aloud. Clark had sent her to retrieve any backups she could find on disks, hard disks, or flash drives. She would have to sift through the pile. At least the empty tables gave her plenty of space to sort the junk. She started stacking books on one table, clothes on another, and anything not backup related on the third. She saw a flash on the wireless network in the building that looked odd to her. She checked it to see if it was Clark being a dumbass. Wait, this was Clark she was talking about. Of course he was stupid. She was glad that he was alive, but she was still upset at him. This time, she was ready to purge the local node of any hostile activity when she saw who it was. Then she saw the ShadowNet logo. Of course, anyone could copy an image, so she double-checked the source of the IP. It came up 0.0.0.0. Only ShadowNet users and Aqua itself could spoof that. If Aqua was tracking her here, then she was screwed anyway. But if it was him, Hello? There was no reply. She tried again. She needed his help. Hello? I know you're there. Please, I need to talk to you. There was a slight pause, and then the words appeared. What do you need, Emily? He knew who she was. She almost blushed. This was the first bit of good news that she'd had in a long time. My boyfriend Clark Yossarian. Do you know him? I do. Can you help him? He's gotten himself into a lot of trouble. Yes. Emily was not sure what he meant by that until he continued typing for a few moments later. He did a rather fine job of that. Emily laughed. Yeah, he's a blockhead, but can you help him? How? Emily blinked. She had not thought about that. Recruit him. What? Why? What good will that do? I can do a lot more for him inside of the revolution than out of it. That made sense. Plus, it would give her a chance to reconnect to Clark. I can do that. I will do that. Thanks. You're wonderful. There was no reply. Emily started going through the pile with even more gusto. The sooner she got the data, the sooner she could get out of here and recruit Clark. More importantly, now she could tell him everything. She could hardly wait. It took Emily about an hour and a half to sort through all of Clark's garbage, but when she was done, she had found 5 flash drives and a stack of disks. She found no hard drives, but she had learned a lot about her potentially ex-boyfriend in the process. For example, it turned out that, like most guys, he did have a small collection of relatively tasteful porn. Ezekiel had not known what to make of Emily's request. How could Clark have possibly interested someone of Emily's caliber? It didn't matter. It had been a simple choice, really. All he had to do was get Clark inside the revolution, and then he could keep an eye on him. He hadn't really found anything useful from scanning Clark's files, but he had known that there was something there. Time taught him that it was the little details that mattered, and this felt personal to him. He was still a bit surprised that he found himself attracted to Emily. Was it some kind of bizarre reverse Stockholm syndrome? Did he really consider Clark some kind of bizarre equal? Did he feel jealous or something? He stopped the car. What the hell was he doing? Psychoanalyzing himself? And here he was psychoanalyzing himself. He took a deep breath and did a bit of meditation. God knew that he paid that idiot that had taught him how to relieve his stress enough that at least something practical should have come from it. He focused and then unfocused. He let his mind wander and go where it would. Emily's face came up. Then the horn honked behind him. His eyes snapped open and he felt his anger rise. No, calm, reason. Reason was his weapon. He was reasonable, and his foes were irrational, emotional individuals. His was the superior intellect. That was how he triumphed so many times, and that would be how he would triumph now. Hey you! Why are you blocking the middle of the road for? The guy leaned out of his car, shouted, and raised his fist. Ezekiel noted that the man had the temerity to honk at it again. Ezekiel, calmly, very calmly, pulled the car over to the side of the road. He then let the man drive by him. Calmly, without emotion, he let the man drive by him and then took his license number. He could do all kinds of things to the man, but that would not be rational. No, what would be rational would be to give his name to some of the hackers he knew who specialized in identity theft. That was not vengeance. That was building up trust with a valuable contact. It was reason. It was intellect. Just like he would allow intellect to triumph in regard to Emily. She was just a normal woman like any other. He put her out of his mind like she had never been there. He put her out of his mind so well that he did not notice his knuckles turn white as he grasped the stick shift and put the car into motion yet again.